Six Nations 2021 round or week number 2. The dream team much harder to pick than week 1. Week 1 pretty much fell into place. Henshaw was one I could have had in. He's the main one that I think I probably could have switched up. I went with Redpath, but certainly the team felt more natural than this week. This week I've really had to think about it. I don't know if I'm happy with it, but anyway, we're going to go through it. 15 guys from out the week. I will also go through some honorable mentions as well. And as always, you guys can let me know your thoughts on the team. Not that good viewing if you're Italian this week, unfortunately. Last week it was England. This week it is Italy. That's going to miss out. Sorry to Italian guys. I will give at least a couple of honorable mentions for the Italians. And also, Auckland's gone back into lockdown, so my kids are here. You may hear them causing havoc in the other room. Loose head prop. I've gone with Wyn Jones from Wales. You could argue that his head helped win them the game when it got clattered into by old Xander Fagerson. But he played 78 minutes, which for a prop is a pretty decent shift. 6 carries for 34 run meters, again, is a pretty good return per carry. He scored a try, which in the scheme of things in that game was pretty vitally important. 2 passes, 14 out of 17 tackles. He would like to have those numbers higher, but that's still not bad for a big man. He did have 1 handling error and 1 turnover conceded. Scrum time, which is the main thing you think about with props, was pretty solid overall. I think both sides might have conceded a few penalties, but overall, that big Scottish scrum, which was on paper, you know, it's one of the best scrums around with the Sutherland and Fagerson. They actually managed to hold up pretty well. So there you go. Tie head prop. I have gone with Kyle Sinclair. Now, he got player of the match, so who am I to argue with that? Player of the match for Kyle Sinclair. He played 74 minutes, which again, for a prop's a long time. I've kind of been converted by Rusty Erasmus that I think props should be playing kind of 50 minutes, so you need to give the other guy a crack, but Wayne Pevek and Eddie Jones like keeping their good guys out there for a long time, so 74 minutes. He had 11 runs for 40 run meters, and he is that kind of athletic running prop. He's not one that just does the bare bones scrummaging stuff. He likes to get into a bit of everything. 5 passes, 3 from 3 tackles. He did have 2 handling errors and a turnover conceded, but he was certainly a good part of the build-up to what England were doing in that game against Italy. As I mentioned, player of the match. Hooker, I've gone with Luke Cowan-Dickey. Again, I've tried to kind of not just pick all England because it's always the temptation when you just look purely at the numbers to go with the guys if they've had a big win over Italy. So it's not only English guys, but I have put a few of them in here. Luke Cowan-Dickey, in the scheme of things, he's played a lot less minutes than other guys, 52 minutes, but still managed 14 carries in that time for almost 60 run meters with 59. He beat 4 tacklers. So he's got better numbers in 52 minutes than a lot of guys have got for the whole game. 2 passes and an offload, made 7 from 7 tackles. He did concede 1 penalty, which the Italians promptly kicked at the breakdown. But the lineup percentage, I think, for England was 100%. So overall, a pretty good effort from Luke Cowan-Dickey when he actually managed to get a start ahead of old Jamie George. So well done to him. Now, locks. Locks were, again, one of the more competitive areas. I could have chucked both of England's locks in here, but I have not. Again, trying to keep a balance of the games because, as I mentioned, the games against Italy tend to inflate some of the guys' stats. So in a game which is a bit tighter, and I've seen some people criticize him in his performance, but I still think Tyg Burn had a pretty good game. Call me a liar. Played 73 minutes. 7 carries for 35 run meters is not the kind of numbers he got last week from memory. If I've got them written down, I'll have a look. But still, he is a busy player. No, I didn't write them down on paper last time. I did it online. Last week he had something stupid like 19 carries, but either way, it was still decent return. He broke a tackle. He had 5 passes, but he had 3 turnovers, including 1 line-out steal. So he had more turnovers than anybody else this whole week. He is the number 1 throughout the whole competition. Now, to balance that out, he did concede 3 penalties, so you could look at it as like he's kind of balanced out with 0, but I'll still put him in there, and he made 12 from 12 tackles. Overall, man, I love watching Tyg Burn. What can I say? I am a bit of a fan. The other one I've gone to, it's a Welshman, another B-man. I got Byrne and I got Beard. Adam Beard, he played 80 minutes. So another good performance from him alongside his captain, Alan Wynne-Jones. But I've gone with Adam Beard. Alan Wynne had pretty good numbers as well, to be fair, but he conceded like 4 penalties. Adam Beard, 80 minutes, has 4 carries for 19 metres. And again, in terms of metres per carry for him, that's pretty good numbers. Locks don't usually get that much, but I do note that the stats from the Six Nations website are a bit more inflated, at least for run meters, than other sites like ESPN. 3 passes, 9 from 10 tackles, and they fixed the dominant tackle stat. If you guys were around last week, like Duhan van der Merwe had 166% dominant tackles. Stuart Hogg had 800%, even though he was none from 1 with his tackles. And people gave me a variety of reasons. They said, oh, it's including the tackles you've broken as well as the tackles you've made. Didn't make a lot of sense to me because it's tackles you made, not tackles you busted, that you're dominant in, right? Some people said it also calculates how far you push people back. So if Johnny Gray makes a tackle, Stuart Hogg jumps in there as a tackle assist, he's going to get credit for a dominant tackle. Some people told me they just made a mistake. You guys were the ones who were right. They went back and fixed those, and this week they've got them right from the get-go. So the dominant tackles are much more realistic this week. 9 from 10 tackles. 1 of his tackles was dominant, which he made, so 10%. There you go. Simple as that. He also had 1 turnover won, but 1 turnover conceded, so it kind of evens out. His maul defense is good as well. Adam Beard, man, he's a big unit. He's a big unit. He likes to get in there and disrupt their opposition maul, so yeah, good effort from him. Now, the flankers, I've maybe pulled a little bit of a fast one. In the number 6 jersey, I'm going to put Olivon, Charles Olivon from France. Now, I know you're going to say, well, he's 7. He doesn't play 6. He plays 7. But it's hard with the French because they don't play blindside, open side like the rest of us. And they don't do the South African thing of just putting the jersey numbers the other way. They just go left and right, right? If you notice that in the game, I forget who was on which side. Was it Gelon was on left and Olivon was on right? They don't care which side of the field has like got more space on it, which is the open side, which is the blind side. They pack down on the same side every time. So I feel like I can stick him in at number 6. He had a good game, man, so I'm sneaking him in there. 80 minutes. He has a try. He has 3 carries for 28 run meters. Beats 2 tackles. Beating 2 tackles from 3 carries is a good effort. 3 passes. 20 out of 21 tackles. He's a proper machine. Does concede a turnover. Does concede a penalty. But overall, man, the French back row was mightily impressive. Mightily impressive. Now, another guy who I think mightily impressive, I've gone with Hamish Watson from Scotland on the open side because he legit does play 7 and always packs down on the open side. 80 minutes, 10 carries for 39 run meters. He does love a carry. He's not the biggest guy. And maybe this is, again, going to hold him down the pecking order with Warren Gatland. I'd actually like to see, maybe I can have a look at all the guys who play on the flanks and just see how is Hamish Watson in terms of the height and weight compared to all those other guys. It doesn't seem to matter, though, because he still makes 13 from 13 tackles. He still gets 2 turnovers won, which is kind of second equal this week. He has 3 passes. He beats 2 tacklers. Like, size doesn't matter with Hamish Watson. Maybe it's the haircut. I don't know. But, yeah. Lions contention, maybe. Some people would scoff at the idea, but I still reckon he's a bloody good player. Next, last forward, it's another Frenchman. It had to be Gregory Aldrit. He had a good game, didn't he? He's everywhere. He has 80 minutes played, 14 carries for 99 run meters, which is just stupid. 39 for Watson, 28 for Olivon, 19, 35. Like, he's how many guys combined, Aldrit? 99 run meters. He breaks 4 tackles. Someone tell him he's not a midfielder. He's a loose forward. 5 passes, 2 offloads, 15 from 15 tackles. The only thing he hasn't done is like score a try or kick a drop goal or something. 1 turnover conceded and 1 handling error. Aldrit, man. So glad that he's back for France. I know he was initially in doubt with the squad, but came through without, well match fit basically, because he was initially thought to be injured, but nah, he's made it, so happy days. Into the backs. Now, scrum half was another one. I bloody agonised about it for ages. I looked at Price. I remembered that kick at the end when those guys were knackered and he kind of surrendered possession. I was a bit miffed. Dupont, by his own standards, had a pretty poor game. Missed a few tackles, had a few handling errors. I didn't think Gareth Davis really showered himself in a whole bunch of glory. Ben Youngs looked a wee bit off the pace a bit at times. Jamison Gibson-Park, I was spending half of that game kind of calling for Casey to come on. So I've kind of gone with my gut. You can call it a cop-out. But I've gone with Dan Robson from England. Now, he was one of the subs. He only played 30 minutes. But I feel like he's the one guy who actually made like a positive impact, like a proper impact on the game when he came on. He really changed the game for England. Like just very lively, wasn't he? Ball of energy. 30 minutes, he has 2 carries and 38 run meters, which in terms of, I mean, he had that quick tap, which is probably where he got most of them. 48 kick meters, busts 2 tackles. He doesn't have to make any, interestingly, which is kind of, I guess it shows you the position of the game they were in, but he's kind of none from none. But, yeah, obviously, it's a weird one to put a sub on who didn't play that many minutes, but and the stats don't really reflect it. I just feel like he injected a bit of pace into England's game, and they were better for having him on the pitch. You guys let me know who you thought it could have been, but that's who I have gone with. Number 10, I've got the right jersey on for this one. He's another guy who I could have had last week, to be fair, ahead of old Garbisi here, but I've gone with Matthew Jalibert for this one. I know you guys who've got any of the closed captions on, his name comes out like Jelly Bear, but there you go. He's not a jelly bear. He's a pretty good fly half, isn't he? 80 minutes, 3 carries, 22 run meters. He beats 2 tacklers. He has 13 passes. He's running the show there at the back for France. He has an offload, 331 kick meters in a game where kicking from hand was pretty important. 12 from 13 tackles for a fly half, deserves a medal. He does have 1 turnover conceded. He does have 2 handling errors, and probably the biggest black mark as he kicks at 40%. That game could have been lost, and if Ireland managed to sneak a penalty at the end of that game, no way does he make the squad. He's only there on the basis of the fact that they won. They didn't get punished for it. Like, I support New Zealand. Like, Beauden Barrett, man. How many times does he have a good game but misses the kicks that he needs to get, and then we lose the game? Maybe not that many times, but you remember the times it happens. So he kind of gets away with it this time. But there's other games where you won't get away with it. So he did hit the post, to be fair, one time, but still needs to be slightly more clinical with that. Left wing, tough. Outside backs, I think, apart from locks, outside backs are the out-and-out most difficult to pick this week because we saw some bloody good tries. But speaking of good tries, I have gone with Johnny May on that left wing. Interestingly, he was both very good in attack, but also very secure. Like, compared to the errors, the uncharacteristic errors we saw from him last week, that was pretty much gone this week. He plays 80 minutes. He has 12 carries for 96 run meters, which is a good return, but for Johnny May, you kind of almost expect that kind of thing. He has a try. The try is a wonder try. It's been the talk of, I don't know what, the town. Even my old man watched that. He doesn't really watch the Six Nations. He was like, that was a pretty good try, wasn't it? Like, that's high praise coming from my old man. He beats 4 tacklers. He has 4 passes, 6 from 7 tackles, including 14% dominance. So I'm assuming that's just one of them. He does have 1 turnover conceded, but overall, his numbers are all in the good, the green, whatever descriptive word you want to use it. Good numbers from Johnny May. Lions form? Maybe based on that game. Inside centre, I have gone with Gaël Fickou from France. There's a fair few Frenchmen in this team, to be honest, and they are looking to business. Gaël Fickou, he plays 80 minutes. He has 4 carries for 20 run meters, which in the scheme of things is actually not that flash, but it's at least 5 meters a time on the average. He beats a tackler. He has a try assist. Defensively, he's very sound. With 10 from 10 tackles, he has 5 passes. It's overall pretty nice reading from him. He's kind of one of the old men in the team, isn't he? But he's still getting the job done. And a team full of very talented youngsters. So may that continue. Now, outside center was the last one that I picked. I was almost going to leave it blank and let you guys just pick one for me. But I figure I'll go and make a pick. And then you guys can tell me some of the alternatives. I've ended up going... I've gone with Henry Slade. And his numbers look good. His numbers look good. He didn't kick as much as he did last week. He ran the ball a fair bit. He ends up with 80 minutes played, 12 carries for 107 run meters, which is good numbers, man. I know we're talking Italy, but it's good numbers. 72 kick meters, so he wasn't kicking anything like we needed to see from him in previous games. Well, the one previous game. He makes 7 passes. He almost scores a try when he's harrying that one ball down. 7 from 9 tackles is not great. He has 1 handling error. I think it's still pretty good numbers. But it's weird. Watching the game, I didn't feel like he was that good. I don't know. Sometimes the numbers can tell a bit of a deceptive story, but the numbers are what sold me on Slade on this one. I think about the other guys. Like Harris was pretty good for Scotland. And like Watkin missed 1 tackle but saved 1 try. Like let in 1 try for Hogg, but then saved 1 right at the death. So kind of a bit of a mix and match. Vincent was pretty good. Solid in his game. Ringrose was good at times, but still dropped the ball a few times. So yeah, it's a tough 113 this week, I thought. Anyway, right wing has to be this man, Lewis Rees-Zammit. He's pretty good. Lions or too young? He's lightning quick, man. Plays 80 minutes, gets 2 tries and a try assist. You'd be hard pressed to do better than that. He gets player of the match. Runs 61 run meters from 6 carries, beats 2 tacklers, has 2 passes, 4 from 5 tackles. If you're looking for your black markets, a turnover conceded, a handling error, and a penalty conceded. But overall, man, like if you're a Welsh fan, and if anything's getting you down, you just put on his highlight reels, either for Gloucester or for Wales. They're both red, partly, in Gloucester's case, uniforms. And that'll put a smile on your dial, absolutely. Lewis Rees-Zammit, man. Still very young man as well, let's hope he can stay fit and fast because he's got a good future ahead of him. Lastly, fullback, and it's one where I've gone against the player of the match. Dulin was player of the match for France, but I had to go with Mr. Hogg for his influence on that Scotland game. He plays 80 minutes. He has 11 carries and still manages 2 tries. He just looks the most dangerous player, I think, in terms of being able to break tackles in the Six Nations at the moment. 2 tries, 151 run meters. And he admittedly, as I always say for fullbacks, he gets a few of them for free with no opposition in front of him while he runs up to the line. But man, 7 busted tackles. Phenomenal. He makes 2 from 2 tackles this week. Has 188 kick meters, which is not like the same kicking numbers he had to do the week before. 9 passes. If you're looking for your black markets, 2 handling errors and a penalty conceded. But man, like overall, without his second try, I don't think Scotland get back in the game. He puts the ball back in Wales's court when Scotland have already gone a man down. So, heck of a player. Speaking of Dulin, though, in terms of honourable mentions, he was very controlled at the back. Still made a few errors, but very controlled. Man of the match in his game, so credit to him. Dupont, like I mentioned, was a bit more human. He's still got a crazy turnover at the death, proving he can do a bit of everything. But he had 5 missed tackles and 6 handling errors, which is pretty uncharacteristic. Stunder for Ireland was huge, racked up a huge work rate in that game. Maybe some Irish fans would argue too much, that they shouldn't be just busting it up the guts into that French brick wall. Also, Porter was pretty good at the scrum. James Lowe got a big old boot on him. Defensively, he was a bit suspect, to put it mildly, but big old boot. 500 plus kick meters in that game. Darcy Graham for Scotland was looking sharp when he was on. He got subbed early, which was unfortunate, but very, very sharp. Bigi for Italy made like 16 from 16 tackles. Interesting, I saw him bagged by a few people, but I thought, I know they were under pressure, but man, that's a good shift from your captain. That's what you want. Tipuric had 16 from 16 as well in that game for Wales. I think he had 1 turnover. Liam Williams almost elbowed his way into the team because he had a try and a try assist. He's a dangerous player. Faletau had 19 out of 21 tackles. He's immense. Watson, that's Anthony Watson, has 2 tries, 160 run meters. Man, that's a hard position this week, but he did have 4 handling errors if you want to look for a black mark. Itoje, 2 turnovers, 113 from 13 tackles, did concede 2 penalties. Hill had a try and a turnover, probably one of his better games in an England jersey. Heaps I could go on, but I'll leave it there. That's the team of the week. What do you guys reckon? It's not the right team. It's by no means the right team. Robson's probably a bit of a left field one. Slade, you could argue about. Burn, you could say, man, 3 penalties conceded. That's costly for your team. But, God, I've written these around the wrong way. What a moron. I'm not starting this video again. Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.